And girls, hello, this is Mr. Aguilar. Today I'm going to be going over the cameras that we use for our broadcasting, the recording that we do. So the camera that we have is a Canon VIXIA, and the number is HFR 800. I don't know if you can see that. The number model doesn't really matter too much, I guess, unless you want to do your own research afterward. So the basic principles that everyone will be using when you do your field recording to get your interviews done are pretty much the following, right? First of all, the camera is in a few pieces. This is called the lens cap. The lens cap covers the wide angle lens. This is an extra piece that goes on the camera. This can be removed, but I don't want any of you to remove it while you're using it. There's no need for you guys to remove this at all. The way it is removed, if you ever feel this loose, is just tightening it. To the left, loosens it, and obviously to the right, it tightens it, right? So let me just show you very quickly. This is how it is when it comes off, and then it gets fastened on the opposite way. Just tighten it. Okay, so that's how it is. Initially, this camera does not come with this lens, and what you are able to do is you're able to open and shut the actual lens of the camera. If you notice, by looking at the lens straight ahead, when I do something over here, it closes up and then it opens. There's a button on the side that just gets slid up to close and slid down to open. Obviously, when the camera is not in use, closing it up protects the lens much better. However, because the camera that you'll be using most likely will have this wide angle lens adapter, doing this is more than enough, putting the lens cap on it. Now, very, very important that that you always have the lens cap on, because when you don't, you're very likely or somewhat likely prone to touch it with your fingers. Whenever you touch it with your fingers, it gives you a bad blur on the image when you are recording, and we don't want to have that on there. So very, very important, whoever the camera operator is, to always check it out and make sure that there are no smudges there. Okay, if you need to clean it, make sure you let me know before you go out on assignment. Okay, so this is the lens, right? This is on and off for this lens, open and close, and then this is the actual lens wide angle and the lens cap. Okay, now very simple. This is where you have what's known as the viewfinder. The viewfinder is just that. It opens up to allow you to find the view of the camera. So when you open it, it gives you the view right there. Okay, and everything is pretty much set. We're just going to use it on automatic format, and that's it. It does have a touch screen. Again, not really too necessary for anything beyond that, but that's the touch screen, and that's what we have right there. Okay, it does have an option button to take pictures by pushing on the little camera icon there on the bottom left, but that isn't really necessary, but nevertheless it is there. Some of the basic components that you are going to be responsible for, and I will be testing you on, are the things that are on this panel right here. When you open the viewfinder, right, this one has number 2 because I have them numbered for different groups. So when you open the viewfinder, you have the main control panel right there, and they're just very basic, simple options that you have here. Of course, you have the power on and off. The power automatically, as you can see me over here, the power automatically turns on when you open the viewfinder. Okay, power is on automatically, so that's pretty straightforward. At the bottom, it gives you a chance to review your scenes. Let's say you recorded something, you push that button right there, and then on the actual viewfinder, you're going to see the items that you recorded last, and you can view them right there. Not necessarily, you don't need to do that. In fact, I don't want you to do that. I want you to review your SD card when you're in class. Okay, if you accidentally get to this screen, the way you get out of it is by also pushing that same button on the on and off power. And it goes back to recording whatever's in front of you, like right here you see my hand. Now, one other element that's important as well, or actually 2, are the actual inputs right there that you have. If you can see on the very far left side, it says, or the letters are MIC, which stands for microphone. This last port is where you connect the microphone that we use for our recording. Okay, very simple. Make sure it goes all the way in and it is flush so that you're able to get the sound from the microphone directly. Now, I don't have the microphone currently, but I think all of you guys know what it looks like. You basically connect something that looks like this, which is a 3.5 millimeter. You connect it to that hole right there, and you have to make sure it's all the way in and that it is flush so that you're able to make connection with the microphone. All right, that's how that works. Right next to the microphone, you're going to see one that says AV out, or there's a little headphone jack connection. The audio technician should connect their headphones in there so that you can hear what's being recorded on the microphone. It's important so that whenever you're doing your recording, you're able to know what's happening and you're able to distinguish if the person you're interviewing is actually speaking, if you're able to hear them, or if you're having any problems with that. That's how that could be addressed, okay? Now, these are other exports, HDMI cables right there and USB cable. You don't need to worry about those unless we'll film something live for live streaming later on, but you don't need that. Now, the next thing you do need is how to gain access to the SD card. The SD card is hidden behind this little cover. Let me see if I can move it. There's a little cover right there that you just need to put your finger in there and the little cover gets removed and then the card is exposed. The way you take it out is not by pulling it out with fingers and pinching it out, but you just kind of push it in. Hopefully you can get the sound. You push it in and it automatically pops out on its own. All right, I'll do it from this angle. You push it in. The same way to put it in. When it's in, it's flush, right? It's like straight with the camera. When it's ready to come out, you push it and it pops out. Okay, once it pops out, then you can pull out the SD card. Okay, when you put the SD card now, you make sure that the little gold strips right there do not go forward to the camera because it won't fit in. So do not try to jam it in there in any way with the gold strips facing forward. You'll damage the slot and you'll damage the card and then we're in trouble. Okay, the way it goes is with the little gold slots towards the back of the camera. You just stick it in right there sideways. When you're ready to record, you stick it in there, you hear it click. And then once it's in there, you go ahead and you cover it up with the little cover and that's where your SD card is housed. Okay, now the next few pieces that you might need to know about is the battery itself. Let's say you go out to record, but the group before you did not charge the battery, then you're going to have to change it. All right, right now you see that the camera is on. I'm just going to go ahead and turn it off by pushing the on-off button. And you have to give it a moment and then it turns off. We know that it's off because nothing is on. Now, the battery. How do we take the battery off? It's not just by yanking it, pulling it up or down or in or out. There is a release button at the bottom of the camera. Let me see if I can get you right there. There's a release button right there with an arrow that points down. You have to kind of do two motions and hold it with two hands. Always with two hands to keep it safe. One finger holds the button here. You slide it down. Again, you slide it down. And with the other hand, you hold the battery and you slide it down away from the camera. So it basically looks like this. This is the top of the camera right here. This is the bottom. I'm holding the button right here with this finger, sliding it down, and then I'm holding the battery here with this one and I slide it down and away from the camera. Okay, so now you can see that part exposed of it. You see these little metal connectors? They align with this part of the battery that's on the top. So when you go and put in the new battery, there's no need to touch this, right? All you do is bring the battery kind of halfway to where the battery sits. Right there, you push it down a little bit or in a little bit and then you move it up and then it just clicks automatically. You make sure it's on there and you're good. Okay, plain and simple. All right, now another thing you may want to need or you will need when you're recording is zooming in. Right, the zooming in or zoom button is up here at the top. There's a W on the left. The W stands for a wide shot and the T on the right will give you a tighter shot. That's what we're going to refer to it as. Okay, left on the wide, on the left side is the W for a wide shot. T on the right is for a tight shot. Okay, now how does that work? What does it do? Well, what it does, I don't want you guys to see what I have here, but let me just put the camera case right there. If I'm recording, right, and I want to make it closer, this button here, the zoom button, if I move it to the left, it's going to give me the wide shot. So right now it's as wide or as big as I can get it. If I want it a tighter shot, I'm going to move this slide button to the right. Notice right here on the screen, on the viewfinder, when I move it to the right, it's going to bring me a tighter shot of that camera case right there. So left is a wide shot and right is a tight shot. So that's pretty much what you need to do when you're recording your subject. All right. So that's pretty much a quick little review of what you need to know for this camera. Oh, and then of course, this is mostly going to be on the tripod, but just in case you ever have to hold it as well, this is where your hand goes. Okay. And then that's how you control the wide and the tight shot. Oh, one more thing I forgot that's pretty important is this red button right here, kind of where my thumb basically goes for my right hand. This little button, this little silver button with red, is where you actually start to record. When I push the button, it starts recording. Let's see if you guys notice that on the viewfinder here, when I push record, there's a little red dot at the top that turns on. That one right there. Now, whenever you record, please make sure that you give the person speaking 1 more second before they begin. In other words, don't just push it immediately and say, go ahead, go now. I want you guys to push it, because after you push it, you'll notice that the counter does not start right away. You guys saw where the 1 second came out? Let me show you again. I'm going to stop it. And then when I push it, in about 1 or 2 seconds, then the actual counter begins. I push it right there, and then the 1 starts. So whoever the camera operator is, once you push record, you have to wait till it gets to 1 and then give your reporter the signal to start to record. All right. A few things on the actual viewfinder also that I was forgetting to mention, or 2 key elements. On the top right, you'll notice the time that you have left to use that battery. The battery is indicating that it has about 30 minutes of usage left. Okay, very, very important. If you're going to go out to record, if you notice that your battery only has 5 minutes, then it's probably better to change the battery before you go out to record. Another thing, how much space is on the actual card? This you can find out by pushing that little eye. You see that little eye on the right side of the screen? You push the eye, and then that screen pops out. So right here on the green little card icon, it tells me that I have 55 minutes of card space to record on, which is great. I can film whoever I want to film and so on, and then I can do that. So it's very, very important that you look at the time that you have for your battery, which is on the top right, and also on the time that you have on your card to record. Okay, so I will be quizzing you guys on the different parts of the camera, the usage of it, and everybody in your group has to pass it before you guys can go out with the camera to record. Okay, again, very safe, very easy to use. Always keep the lens clean and always keep it covered so that it won't get damaged. Thank you very much, guys, and I hope you guys take care of these cameras. Also, I just have a number, like I said, for the groups that will be using it. Thank you very much.